I hereby call to order this meeting of the Arizona Boxing and Mixed Martial Arts Commission. Today is Wednesday, March 16th, 2022, and the time is 11:02 a.m. Would those commissioners that are in attendance please identify themselves and state as to whether they're here via telephone or Google Meets or in person?
This is Eric Feinstein, and I'm here via Google Meets.
This is Scott Fletcher. I am here via telephone, and hopefully we'll get Commissioner Pennington jumping in here soon. But let's press on. B is our new business. B1 is pursuant to ARS sections 5-227, 5-228, and AAC R19-2-C604 for persons over the age of 36. The renewal license application submitted by Mr. William Northan for a 2022 professional boxing athlete license. Mr. Estrada, will you speak to this application, please?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Mr. William Northan is currently record is 4-0. His current weight is between 175 and 180 pounds. His fight weight's 160. I don't believe he has a fight scheduled yet, but I know he got challenged at the last event we were in. So I guess we'll ask Mr. Northan if he signed that contract yet. His training regimen consists of running in the mornings. He lifts weights 2 to 3 hours. He goes to the pool daily. Does regular sparring, cardio, and strength conditioning training. When asked about how he felt about his upcoming bout, he feels really good about the upcoming bout, and he's training hard and preparing for quite some time already. All his paperwork's in order. Medicals are in order. With that, I recommend that his license be approved.
Thank you, Mr. Estrada. Commissioner Feinstein, questions, thoughts for Mr. Northan?
Yeah, just two questions. One, I just wanted to know what Mr. Northan's age was.
$37.
Okay.
Yeah.
It just tells us over the age of 35, so I was just curious. Thank you. And then when was your last bout, and what was the result of that?
It was August 1st. I won unanimously. Unanimous decision. Yeah.
Okay. How many rounds?
6.
Okay. No further questions for me, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner. I, too, have no further questions. The chair would be open to a motion if there is one.
Mr. Chairman, this is Joe Pennington. I have joined the meeting. I hope not too late. I do not have any questions for Mr. Northam either. So if Commissioner Feinstein wants to make the motion, or I will, either way.
Sure. I move that pursuant to ARS 5-227, 5-228, and AAC R19-2-C604, that we approve the renewal license application for Mr. William Northan for a 2022 professional boxing license.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, Mr. Northan. Thank you for your time. Take care now.
All right.
Item B2 is pursuant to ARS sections 5-227, 5-228, and AAC R19-2-C604 for persons over the age of 36. The renewal license application submitted by Mr. Alonzo Alexander for a 2022 Amateur MMA athlete license. I think the first packet that went out showed professional, but this is an amateur MMA athlete license that we are talking about. Mr. Estrada.
Yes, sir. I want to start out by apologizing with that little mistake I had made on that error, but I fixed it, and now we're good to go. Mr. Alexander is an MMA amateur fighter. His record's 1-0 as an amateur. His current weight's 255. He prefers to fight at 250 pounds. When asked what his training regimen is like, he trains in boxing, kickboxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, trains 4 days a week, 2 hours a day. He does cardio. And I believe when asked discipline also, he included a professional street fighter. He also, when asked how he felt about his upcoming bout, I'll make this short, but he said he feels bad for his opponent. With that said, all paperwork's in order with exception of his eyes. His eyes are okay. They're just on the wrong form. With that said, I would recommend that his MMA amateur license be approved contingent of me receiving that eye paperwork on the Arizona forms.
Thank you, Mr. Estrada. Commissioners, thoughts, questions for Mr. Alexander?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Mr. Alexander, what is a professional street fighter?
Mr. Pennington, I'm not sure if he's there or if he's having issues with his microphone.
To unmute your telephone microphone, please press *6.
Okay, am I with you now?
Oh, Commissioner Pennington, you can be heard okay. We're just worried about Mr. Alexander.
Oh, okay. Is he available?
There's a few numbers on, but I don't, either he's not on or he's having issues with his microphone.
Mr. Estrada, do you know if he's on, or is there any indication that he is on with us?
There's a few numbers that might be him, but because it doesn't show the complete number, I wouldn't be able to tell if he's on or not.
Okay. Shall we table this and hope that he comes back to us? This application is not with any particular event in mind. Is that correct?
Yes, this is for the RUF MMA show.
It is, which is on March 26th. So,
Correct.
Why don't can we table this and maybe someone gives them a call and we try and get them on the phone?
I can try calling him. If you give me 2 minutes, I'll try calling him now. Otherwise, again, I would recommend approval just based on the conversations I've had with Mr. Alexander. Again, all paperwork's in order with exception of his eye work. But let me see if I can get a hold of him right now so that he gets on the line.
Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Alexander is on the speakerphone on our end. So if Mr. Pennington would like to ask that question again, he's ready for you guys.
Sure. Mr. Alexander, what is a professional street fighter?
What is a professional street fighter?
Right.
I don't think there's a real title for a professional street fighter. I say I'm a professional street fighter because I say that I'm good at fighting. That's why I say a professional street fighter. I just had a whole bunch of fights, you know. That's what I meant by a professional street fighter. Are you there?
I'm here. Whenever you say you've had a whole bunch of fights, what are you referring to?
Just growing up in school, playground, street fighting. I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory. Are you there?
We're here. I'm just having trouble understanding the professional part of it. Was that just in jest or what?
That's just me putting that. No, that's me putting that title on that. I'm just saying that I feel that I'm so good that I'm a professional fighter. That's just me saying that. That I've been in so many fights in the streets that I got a lot of experience. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, I understand. I think what you're referring to.
You sure?
Well, I guess I'm as sure as I can be at this point. What I'm hearing is that you have had a lot of fights that have not been sanctioned, and that
it's in the streets.
Was in the streets, right?
Yes.
So how does that apply to your
clubs, bars, parks, stuff like that? A street fight.
Okay. All right. I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman. I am a little bit concerned about all of the quote fights that someone has had that have not been sanctioned. But let's just proceed on, I guess, Mr. Chairman.
Fair enough. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Feinstein, any thoughts or questions for Mr. Alexander?
Yeah, I would just ask, what's Mr. Alexander's experience fighting with rules?
Shit, I got one Muay Thai fight and I got one cage fight.
And when was your last fight and what was the result?
My last fight was in, I think it was 2019, 18 it might have been, and I won. I came out with the W.
And what is your current age, sir?
I'm 39 years old.
No further questions for you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Alexander, you'd be fighting at heavyweight, right? You were walking around at 250 or so, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. I, too, have no further questions. The chair would be open to a motion if one exists.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sit tight, Mr. Alexander. I was just saying that if there is a motion, the chair would be open to it.
Mr. Chairman, I move that pursuant to ARS 5-227, 5-228, and AAC R19-2-C604, that we approve the new amateur MMA license for Mr. Alonzo Alexander for 2022 amateur MMA athlete license.
Commissioner Feinstein, is that with a proviso that we get the eye exam on the proper form?
Yes, sir. Correct. I would say that we get the proper medical clearance, including the eye form.
Mr. Chairman, I will reluctantly second that motion, and my reluctance is all of the, quote, street fighting that Mr. Alexander has been involved in. And I'm hoping that he can take some of that aggression out in the cage versus on the streets.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Good luck to you, Mr. Alexander. We appreciate your time. Let's press on to B3, which is pursuant to ARS sections 5-227, 5-228 A, B, and E, and 5-229, the renewal license application submitted by Mr. Pelletier, doing business as OG Boxing Promotions, LLC, for a 2022 promoter's license. Mr. Estrada, we speak to Mr. Pelletier's application, please.
Sir, Mr. Chairman, all is in order. Financials came back good. Nothing that raised the red flag. Application looks good. With all that said, I recommend that his promoter's license be approved.
Thank you, Mr. Estrada. Commissioners, thoughts, questions regarding OG Boxing Promotions?
Mr. Pelletier, how many events do you plan on having in Arizona this year? Is he on the phone with us?
They were given the contact information, so I don't know if he'll be on the line or not.
Okay, Mr. Estrada, maybe you can speak to our history with Mr. Pelletier and OG Boxing, if you would.
Nothing, new promotion. Been working good together with them. The commission has no issues. I believe we've had approximately 2 to 3 shows with them already. From what I understand, they're looking to have at least 2 to 3 shows by the end of the year. Again, it's a growing promotion. We work with them closely to make sure that, you know, all the rules and regulations are abided, and to make sure that they understand what we need. So when we show up to shows, everything's in order. We haven't had an issue with them. And again, with that said, I recommend that his promoter license be approved.
Thank you, Mr. Estrada. You know, going forward, it'd be nice to get everybody on the phone if we can. This is not my favorite way of doing these things. I do look forward to some in-person meetings coming up here shortly, but I think Mr. Pelletier's past is in his favor. They've done some great events in the past, and the fact he's back with us is a great thing as well. Commissioners, any other thoughts?
Mr. Chairman, I think I recall from the original agenda packet, and I just tried to pull that up, that the racing or gaming financial responsibility letter had no derogatory information. In fact, I think they recommended or said that we could find that the promoter had a good financial record. So if I'm mistaken in that, Mr. Estrada, would you please let me know, or otherwise would you confirm that we got a good, clean letter?
Yes, sir. We got a good, clean letter, again, with the recommendation that there was no negative findings, and recommending that they get approved.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I have no further questions.
Thank you, Commissioner.
No question for me, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Chair would be open to a motion if there is one.
Mr. Chairman, I move that pursuant to ARS 5-227, 5-228, A, B, E, and 5-229, that we grant a renewal license for a 2022 promoter for Mr. Pelletier, doing business as OG Boxing Promotions, LLC.
I second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Excuse me.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Congratulations, Mr. Pelletier. We look forward to your upcoming promotions. Let's forge on to C, our old business. C1 is pursuant to ARS sections 5-227, 5-228 A, B, and E, and 5-229, the new license application submitted by Mr. Roland Sarria, doing business as Mochi, LLC, for a 2022 promoter's license. Mr. Estrada, do you know if Mr. Sarria is with us?
He is actually here present in the office.
Yeah, very good. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Sarria. We appreciate your time and presence.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I anticipate that we will need to go into executive session on this item. Could we rearrange the agenda and have the remaining items dealt with, and then before we go into the announcement or adjournment, that we convene an executive session?
I think that's a good idea, Commissioner. Why don't we do that? Let's table this. We don't have a lot, I don't think, between here and adjournment. So let's do that. Let's press on. Mr. Estrada, are you okay with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Item C is
Thank you,
tabled,
Mr.
and we
Chairman.
will come back to that. Thank you. Item D, our information reports. D1 are our event reports. The following events were paid and approved by the Executive Director from February 23rd to March 15th. The first being a request from RUF Nation, LLC, for approval of an MMA event to be held at the Celebrity Theater in Phoenix, Arizona on Saturday, March 26th, 2022. And the second being a request from Rise Combat Sports for approval of an MMA event to be held at the Rialto Theatre in Tucson, Arizona on Saturday, July 9th, 2022. Mr. Estrada, any other thoughts you might have regarding these events?
No, actually happy to see, again, more events coming to the state of Arizona. Just a short story with Rise Combat, being a new promotion, obviously it was nerve-wracking probably for them. Work together I think they might anticipated less people to show up for their show. However, Tucson showed up. They filled up the spot, the place, and it looked like there might have even been people that couldn't make it inside the venue. And talking to them, I mean, shortly after they turned around and scheduled this next event date. So again, looking forward to working with them, making sure that they're successful at what they do. And again, we're here to help and make sure that their success and we're part of it as well.
Well, thank you, Mr. Strada. It's important that, especially with new promotional companies, that we help them along the way on their first few events, so they know what we expect and how these things should be run. So that's great news. It's another great promotional group getting started here in the States. So that's exciting. I'm glad to see them back and ready to do it again. Let's jump into D2, our legislative update. Is Mr. Aiden Fleming with us?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Aiden Fleming, for the record, with the Department of Gaming. Happy to be back. Oh, excuse me. Happy to be back with you guys to give an update.
Please, you have the floor, and it's good to hear your voice. It's been a while.
It has been a while, Mr. Chair. Let me share my screen really quickly. Just as a preamble, we are on the 66th day of the legislative session. Over 1,700 bills have been put forward for consideration of the legislative session this year. We, being in the 66th day, the process is just as important as the language. I know that there were bills that the commission wanted to hear about today, and I will dive into those. Excuse me, I apologize. My phone keeps going off. So 2509 was the first, but let me pull up my window to show you the bill. So the only bill directly relating to boxing MMA is HB 2509, which is Racing Boxing Transfer Gaming Commission. It establishes a 6-member Arizona Gaming Commission to assume the powers and duties of the Racing Boxing Mixed Martial Arts Commission, the Department of Gaming. There have been several amendments as this bill has gone through the process, and it has changed several times. That said, if you look down further at the screen, it will talk about where the bill currently is and its movement through the legislature. Where it currently stands, the last action that it had was on 2/24, and it was retained on the House Committee of the Whole calendar. And basically, what that means is it was retained for further discussion. Usually, they will keep a bill there to provide an amendment at a later time. So right now, the bill has not had any movement in nearly a month, and we're getting close to additional deadlines. So as a bill moves through the legislative session, the House and the Senate impose certain deadlines on legislation, that it has to be at a certain point or it will be held and the bill will eventually die. So with that being said, the bill is not moved out of its original chamber, and the next due date for the House to have bills out is 3/25. So the bills have to be through the opposite chamber by 3/25. I hope that makes a little bit of sense, and I'm happy to answer any questions on this bill or any other bills relating to the department at large.
Thank you, Mr. Fleming. It's again, it's great to hear your voice, and we appreciate your time. Commissioners, thoughts, questions regarding any of this?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Fleming, what is the genesis of this bill?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, this was brought forward, I believe, by the Coyotes, a licensee under our event wagering section, and essentially just the idea how it was presented in committee was to put them all together to create a large overarching commission. They had stated publicly that, the vast majority of states have a large gaming commission that deals with multiple areas such as boxing, MMA, and gaming at the same time. So they presented the bill in that format.
And do you have any numbers on the different states that have a consolidated racing or gaming commission versus those that have independent, not independent per se, but separate gaming, boxing, racing?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Pennington, there are 3 states that do not have a gaming commission in the jurisdictions where gaming is allowed. Now, that said, that does not mean that they are all rolled in with their racing and boxing areas. They will usually have a separate commission for that. But when it comes to gaming, Arizona is an exception where it does not have a gaming commission.
So I'm sorry, I'm not quite following. So Arizona does not have a gaming commission at all?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Pennington.
How I'm sorry, how does it operate then, I guess is what I'm trying to get to.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Pennington, yes, exactly right. We are an exception to the rule where we do not have a gaming commission. It is under the Department of Gaming, where we have a compact, and that compact houses the majority of our rules and regulations. And what it comes down to is the department regulates the gaming industry.
So this proposal would be to set up a gaming commission, and that would then oversee all of the gaming, racing as well as boxing. Is that what I'm hearing?
Mr. Chair,
boxing and MMA. Yes. Go ahead, Ms. Fleming.
Yes. Essentially, what the bill did in its original format was create that overarching. It created a gaming commission, and then within it, it rolled into it the Racing Commission and the Boxing Mixed Martial Arts Commission. As I said, there's been several amendments that have removed. One had removed the Racing Commission, so its current form would include off-reservation gaming and also the Boxing and Mixed Martial Arts Commission.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fleming. I appreciate the update.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Feinstein, thoughts?
No, I don't, for me, the commission as it stands for boxing and MMA functions quite efficiently. And, obviously the commissioners, even prior to my being on the commission, have had expertise in this area. So I think, I don't, I'm not sure how this, particular body intersects with the legislative piece, but, I do hope to preserve the efficiency of this particular body and the way that we've functioned over time. So maybe that's a discussion for another time as to how to do that.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, I too, I thought America was built on specialization, and I'd hate to see a overarching group try and wrangle boxing and gaming at the same time. Sounds like long meetings to me, but there is more to come, I know. Mr. Fleming, do you think this bill has a chance of passing?
Mr. Chair, like I said, those dates are going to be very important. Usually when a bill stalls and is retained on a calendar, what we'll usually see is an amendment that follows. So with this particular bill, I would expect an amendment to follow. That said, it would have to do so before the 25th of this month. It would have to pass, just to give you an idea of the journey that it still has, it's in its original chamber. So it would have to pass committee of the whole, which and then it would have to go to a third read of the House, which is an up or down vote. That would then be transferred to the Senate. After it's transferred to the Senate, it has to be assigned to a committee, has to be heard and agendized on a committee, has to be approved by a committee, has to go through rules, the Rules Committee. After it goes to rules, it has to go to caucus, which is a strategy meeting between the Republicans and the Democrats. Then it's a decision if it goes to Committee of the Whole in the Senate. If it gets approved through that, it goes through final read. And so if there's any changes over there, it has to go back to the House. So I say that only to look at the entire process, and it right now it has a very long way to go in a very short amount of time. Is it doable? Yes. There would have to be some doing in order to get it through to the process to meet the deadline. So I try not to speculate on yes or no's, but I would say that it's got a little ways to go.
Fair enough. Thank you. And thank you for your time. Commissioners, do you have any other thoughts for Mr. Fleming?
No, Mr. Chairman, I just want to second Commissioner Feinstein's comments regarding the efficiency and the way that the Boxing Commission has worked. I think that he's absolutely spot on. And so I am somewhat concerned about some other commission trying to operate as the Boxing Commission has, but then life moves on and things change. So we'll have to see how it turns out.
Agreed, Commissioner, agreed. Thank you for your thoughts. Mr. Fleming, thank you so much for setting us straight, and we look forward to seeing you at some point soon.
Mr. Chair, thank you. It's a pleasure as always.
Thank you. Let's press on because we have a reputation for being efficient, so let's be efficient and look at the call to the public. Mr. Estrada, is there anyone who would like to chat with us?
Yes, we have Mr. Zanvit.
Hello.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. My name is Vin Zivith. I'm the president of Southeast Asian Arts Alliance. We are a nonprofit organization. We've been working with Bob Carmel for the last, I think, 4 years now, doing amateur Muay Thai. And we're looking to do professional shows, but we want to see what is the best way to apply for the application. Since we are a 501c3, we want to see if there's any type of exemptions or the best way to kind of handle the application process.
Fair enough. We're glad you brought it up. I would encourage you to get some time with Mr. Estrada after this meeting, and he can walk you through the best way to go about pursuing such. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate you chiming in. Mr. Estrada, anyone else?
Looks like we have no one else.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Estrada, there does seem to be somebody listed as unknown with their hand raised. If they might need to identify themselves.
Okay. If there is someone else who'd like to talk to us, please unmute yourself and identify yourself if you would.
I don't know why I'm unidentified, but this is Bob Carmel, represents the United States Muay Thai Association. On behalf of Vin, I've been doing shows with him for a very long time. He puts on the best quality shows that we have in the Valley right now. He does A-level fighters. He brings people in from across the country, and he's ready to bring in pro type shows. So he's well able to handle it. On a second note, can't believe I'm doing this, but for as far as Roland Sarria goes, Roland has done 7 shows with me since we restarted doing events last year. He's improved every event. He's fulfilled every requirement that we have. He's paid his dues on time, and his shows keep getting better and better. His last 2 events, I noticed a change in him also personally. He's kind of like the old Roland from 15 years ago. So just to put a statement out there in front of the commission before you guys all talk about him, He's been doing a really good job, and I enjoy working on his shows.
Well, that's great, Bob. It's great to hear your voice too, and I appreciate your thoughts. We will soon be talking about him, and I appreciate you giving us your take on it. Hope all's well, and we'll see you soon. But
Okay,
thank you, Bob.
thank you.
Mr. Estrada, anyone else?
No one else.
Very good. Let's go to item F, the call to the commission. Commission members or the executive director may introduce a summary of current events, ask questions, and or make comments. I also believe that Director Vogt is with us and would like the floor. Is that not the case?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I appreciate that. Chairman and commissioners, I'm very pleased to introduce Danny Vela, who is going to be the new executive director of boxing and mixed martial arts. Having talked with him, the department is very fortunate to have been able to get him to join the team. And we'll turn the floor over to him in a little bit to introduce himself. But I think you're going to be very pleased with him. But I also want to take this opportunity to thank those that have been keeping boxing and mixed martial arts running in the interim. Juan Estrada, especially, Norma Rivero, Caitlin Caputo, Eileen Maya, Shanna Lingle, Joanna Parra, Carlos Partida, and Kerry Alvarado. All of them have been pitching in to keep things running on time. And it's been sort of an additional duty. They've done great work, but they've got us to this point where we've just got a top-notch executive director here. So I'll turn it over to Danny to introduce himself to you.
Hello, everyone. Just wanted to say, first of all, I'm very excited to be here. Thank you, Ted, for the introduction. As far as what I'm looking to do, I have some ambitious goals for our commission and for our department. Just a little bit of background on me. I spent all of my childhood as a boxer and wrestler, and competed at the national level. And spent many years traveling around the country competing. And then more recently, I have coached both those sports as well as served as an official. I was a chief of officials for USA Boxing over the past 5 years, and have excelled that entity very well, and now look to do the same here. The similarity between the two roles is very closely related, and so I think it'll be a great starting point for me. Prior to coming over to this department, I was a financial vice president of sales for Wesley Financial Group, and in that capacity, obviously, I oversaw our sales department and grew us from 200 employees to over 500 employees, and so growth is my main priority, especially in this role. I look forward to again working with all of you and excelling our goals and achieving all that we want to. And as you can imagine, I mean, with my background in financial services and combat sport experience, I am very ambitious with growth as far as revenue streams go for our entity. And as I put it out earlier in our department meeting, Vegas has been known, that's where I'm from. Vegas has been known as the fight capital of the world for a long time. But starting today, since I put it out into the universe now, and I second it now, we're going to make Phoenix the new fight capital. So again, I look forward to working with all of you. My door is always going to be open to you, and I encourage you to reach out to me anytime you need anything. And let's all grow this organization and be the best that we can be.
Fantastic, Danny. Welcome. Welcome. I think you'll find it's a good group of people dedicated to these sports and trying to make sure they're put on in the absolute best way. So it's great to have you. As I say that, I have to thank Mr. Estrada, Mr. Vero, and the rest of the team that have fought so hard to keep us on the correct path during a really challenging couple of years. This COVID situation has been tricky at best, and they've done just a great job. We've got some really cool things brewing. Our next UFC event is, 8 weeks off, if that. And that'll be a fun one. We have a WBC World Title Boxing event in May. It's going to be, we've got a lot of good things brewing. Commissioners.
Chairman, go ahead, Commissioner Feinstein.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo that sentiment in terms of thanking Mr. Estrada, Ms. Rivero, and all the others that kept the lights on through these difficult times. We're really excited to have you. Look forward to meeting you in person soon. And I second your second about Phoenix becoming the fight capital of the country. And I look forward to some great shows ahead. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, Director Vogt, and Danny, could you send the commissioners a bio so that we have a little bit more than just a verbal introduction? Yeah, I look forward to looking at that, and I also look forward to working with you as we proceed forward.
Absolutely, we'll get that done, and we'll be getting a public announcement out too.
Super.
Fantastic. Director, thank you so much for pursuing this. Really looking forward to getting us back to full strength and doing some great things throughout the coming year. Great things are in the future. I'm out of town through the end of the week, but I will be, I'll make my way down to come see the new digs and shake your hand, Danny. I'm looking forward to it.
Likewise, looking forward to working with all of you again.
Very good. Is there anything else we would like to talk about? Commissioners, anything you'd like to introduce, or the still executive director, Mr. Estrada? Anything we need to talk about? There being none, let's move on to G, the announcement that the next regularly scheduled commission meeting will be at 11 a.m. on Wednesday, April 27th, 2022, and is subject to change based on a quorum, which brings us to item C. We now circle back to C, our old business, which is C1 pursuant to ARS sections 5-227, 5-228 A, B, and E, and 5-229, a new license application submitted by Mr. Roland Sarria, doing business as Mochi, LLC, for a 2022 promoter's license. Mr. Estrada, Mr. Sarria still with us?
He actually just stepped out because he thought you guys were going to go into executive session, but I'll bring him right back in.
Okay, please do if you would.
Sorry. Roland. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Sarria is back in the room.
Great, thank you, Mr. Estrada. Mr. Estrada, will you kind of set the tone and speak to his application, if you would, please?
Again, all his information is in. I think at the previous one, I've talked a little bit about his financials. Nothing negative came back, or that rose really to a risk factor. As you guys know, I mean, I'm going to disclose it because it was also in the promoter's investigation. Mr. Sarria was charged with a Class 2 misdemeanor in Mesa, Arizona, for conducting boxing contests without license in September of 2019. Had nothing else showed where, red flag. As you guys instructed, I had Mr. Sarria resend me a license application with more clarity onto what events he was going to have. He did check MMA. I don't think he's going to pursue any boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, and Toughman at this time. So he's just looking for his MMA promoter's license. He did give us recommendation letters from Mr. Bob Carmel, which was included in the packet, as well as a recommendation from a David Conant from Valley Wide Security. And also he gave us a letter from himself kind of indicating what he was looking to do for the rest of 2022.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Estrada. Mr. Sarria, you're with us, right? You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Will you speak to the events that you've done with Bob Carmel, the recent event?
Yeah, I started with Mr. Carmel, I believe in July of 2021. It's been going extremely well. We have a show this Friday. It'll be our 7th event. The show is professionally ran by Mr. Bob Carmel, and it's prepped me and it's prepared me for hopefully the journey of MMA. Like I said in our previous meeting, I like to go forward in good faith. I have grown up quite a bit. As you know, my past history taught me I was a little bit of a maverick, but I'm 59 now, so I feel very confident that I'm going to do a fantastic job to bring more MMA to the state and join the rest of the MMA promoters and make Arizona better than ever.
Thank you, Mr. Sarria. Commissioners, what are your thoughts and questions for Mr. Sarria?
Mr. Sarria, in the past, you had conducted several non-sanctioned events. Is that all behind you now? Do you have any thoughts of doing any non-sanctioned events going forward?
Absolutely not. As far as the non-sanctioned events, there was a lot of confusion in the past. I believe it's definitely in the past. Me and Mr. Estrada got together recently, a few months ago, and cleared a lot of things up, but I can assure you that's never going to happen again.
Okay. I take you at your word.
Thank you, sir.
Other thoughts, questions? Commissioner Feinstein.
Not sure we lost Mr. Feinstein.
Was that true? Okay. Commissioner Pennington, do you have any other thoughts? I do. I hope you've seen Bob Carmel's letter, because it is a very complimentary letter, Roland, and he's a good guy to be vouching for you. He's been at this for a long time as well, so that was nice to see. Any other thoughts or questions, or is there by chance a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that pursuant to ARS 5-227, 5-228A, B, E, and 5-229, that we grant a new promoter's license, 2022 promoter's license, to Mr. Roland Sarria, doing business as Mochi LLC, with the understanding that Mr. Sarria knows the rules and will comply with those rules as we go forward.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have a motion. I will second that motion. We now have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries 2-0. Congratulations, Mr. Sarria. We look forward to your upcoming promotions. And thank you for your time.
I appreciate you all for giving me the opportunity.
Very good. You take care, and we'll see you soon. And thanks again. That concludes our agenda as it is, and leads us towards H, the possibility of an adjournment. Is there a motion for such?
Mr. Chairman, before I move that we adjourn, I would just like to apologize to the commission for last meeting and all of the noise that the commission heard. I was trying to stay in a quiet place, but that did not quite work out. So I apologize. I also apologize for the delay in joining this meeting today. I was trying to join the meeting that was set as executive session without reading the email very carefully. So I do appreciate the commission taking that apology into consideration. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn.
Thank you, Commissioner. I will second that motion. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you all. We are officially adjourned. Thank you all for your time and efforts, and I look forward to great things coming in the months ahead. Take care now.